We are gonna be live. Ooh, can't wait. And just before we jump into this conversation, let me just double check if it has begun. I will check it on the phone. Okay. Yep. Just a moment. Oh, yeah. As I see, we are live. Wow. Okay. So let me just first real quick start this in Hungarian, just in case if anyone wants to listen to this conversation in with the translation, Hungarian
Okay.
translation. Okay, so sziasztok, üdv mindenkinek, nagyon örülünk, hogy jöttetek ebbe a hívásba, és alapvetően angolul lesz ez a hívás, viszont van magyar tolmácsolás is, ugyanis Dr. Gál Réku, akit már sokan ismertek, fogja fordítani ezt a beszélgetést angolról magyarra. Ezt könnyen eléritek, hogyha már a Zoom hívásba vagytok, akkor a Zoomon belül alul van egy ilyen, hogy interpretation, és ott át tudjátok kattintani angolról magyarra, vagy ha még a Zoom link nincs meg, akkor írjátok be, hogy folyamat.com/fordítás. Esetleg, ha valaki megteszi, hogy ezt később, aki később csatlakozik és kérdezi, hogy hol lehet magyarul hallani, csak beírjátok a chatbe, az szuper. De a lényeg az, hogy erre a linkre kattintva bejöttök a Zoomba, és alul át tudjátok állítani a nyelvet magyarra, alapvetően pedig angolul lesz ez a beszélgetés. Úgyhogy akit még egyszer a magyar link, folyamat.com/fordítás ékezet nélkül. Here we go! So,
All right.
um, I'm quite curious. Um, how are you, Anthony?
I'm I'm great, just navigating through this thing called life and living.
Okay. I've been waiting for this call because I think the topic we are gonna dive deeper into today,
Yeah.
beyond material, is quite a big topic also in my life. And I think the people who are curious about consciousness are also really into, like, my observation is that they are super curious about what else is possible. And just before we jump into this conversation, just let me tell you as kind of an introduction that um, so like Anthony is one of the greatest access consciousness facilitator I've ever met. I participated his class not so long ago, a 3-day body class, which was awesome. And the way you be, really, I find it super amazing. So I'm really grateful for this conversation. Whatever will show up, I'm super curious and, yeah, curious about it. So
Well,
um,
that's extremely kind of you to say that and to actually have me on, your show. And there are days that I don't feel like I'm a very good facilitator at all.
mhm.
So so I am humbled by your acknowledgement. Thank you.
Thank you. Mm, the first time when I met you was not this class, but in Berlin last year at the SOP,
Mm.
and that was super interesting to me to see, not just to see, but to first experience this, what is really possible beyond um, kind of the sensational world. I hope I'm saying this right. So the world beyond the material, what we can touch with our hands, see with our eyes, because like 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 the science nowadays, so to say, discovered that the universe consists, like, the only 2% of the universe can be uh visible and sensible in a way, which means that, like, 98% is something that is beyond the material. And
Mm.
I'm really curious that how is this in your, so what is kind of your approach or um, mm, when it comes to you, what do you think about this whole topic?
Well, I've always been sort of intrigued by things that were beyond the physical plane,
Okay.
so to speak, and also things that are beyond our five senses, taste, touch, smell, sight, hearing. So, I always had a sense that there was something else, something more, something beyond. But, the things that we were presented to, at least the things that were presented to me growing up was, yeah, okay, God, or a religion of some sort, and then you grow up to find out that there's all these different religions, right? Just even within one religion, there's so many different points of view and subcategories, so on and so forth. So you're like, okay, that's very interesting, that seems very linear. So I'm like, but there's got to be more, right? and
Mm,
and and it's not something that necessarily I was exposed to in school or university for that matter. But it really, actually, though, when I decided to go to chiropractic school and became a doctor of chiropractic, one of the first things that we learned was that the power that made the body heals the body,
mm,
right? And they talked about consciousness basically within our bodies. And,
mm,
and the way they referred to it was there's an innate intelligence, an inborn intelligence within inside
mm.
every single human being. And it functions automatically. Now, parts of it, though, are driven by our points of view.
Okay.
Parts of it are driven by our life experiences, our traumas and dramas. And so, this intelligence, so to speak, that's within us that functions on automatic pilot sometimes gets twisted, suppressed, and oppressed by this,
Okay.
right? And so we
Yeah.
we we forget the miracle that we are.
Mm,
And we forget that we are more than just part of this earth plane, the physical plane. And so, yeah. So, it's like, for me, it's an ongoing discovery, it's an ongoing process. And, I studied a lot of different tools and modalities and religions and spiritual practices and you name it, a lot of different things, metaphysical stuff. And by far, the tools of access consciousness so far have given me a lot more clarity than I ever had in any of the other things that I've explored. Um, have I arrived? No. You know, it's this thing with consciousness is it humbles you, right?
mhm,
It's you're reminded a lot of you may be faced with certain circumstances in life, and then you are humbly reminded of how much more work you have to do.
mhm,
Yeah, and if it was just me, I would say it'd probably be easier, right? But there's people that surround us, our children, our family, our lovers, our friends, and they make choices around you as well. And it's like to be an allowance of what they choose is not the easiest thing on planet Earth, right? And it's
mhm,
like, but it's like consciousness includes everything and judges nothing, even when people choose to destroy their lives. And that's been something that's been a humbling experience for me, especially as a parent.
mhm,
So, but what I can say is that, in the past almost 12 and a half, 13, almost 13 years now that I've been using these tools, it's like the things that are showing up in my life are the things that I've always desired and wanted. Like, for example, having conversations with beautiful people like yourselves that are on this journey of consciousness, and you're from around the world, you're from Hungary. And it's like, this was like one of my dreams was to be able to have these kinds of conversations. It's like a normal conversation to me, but like, maybe the rest of the world, it's weird.
mm,
So, um, but it's not weird to me. So it's a gift and I'm grateful. And because of the tools, it's like all these things are showing up as if by magic, and I'm super grateful for it.
Hmm. Wow. At least there are like five different directions now in my word how
Yeah,
to
that's
come.
amazing.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And this is something that I really like when in your company. Like I can recall the walk around the Lake Bled when we were there after the class. And it was really so it's been really memorable to me that uh like what I felt um was that I can be anything l- like next to you, like besides you. And so the space that you be is really, really awesome. And I know this can sound weird for the first time if someone hears this, like the space to be. Maybe can you talk a little bit about that? Because it was so awesome how you described that a lot of problems, struggles, and suffering are created here. And the thing that the brain or like our mind is a lie, like a friend, but it's not really. And there are so many like different modalities. But I think I found the same thing energetically in Access, what you did actually like 12 years ago. And can you just talk a little bit about that? That what does it really mean to be the energy?
Mhm. It's this is something that I've actually heard before I started Access too. Um, so thank you for the acknowledgement, first of all. And it's not something, uh-oh, did we? Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's recording. It's good. Yeah, good to
it's
go.
recording.
Yeah.
Okay. So, s- you know, I don't even know what to say about it other than a big part of me came in this way. Like I
Okay.
came in the world this way and I couldn't understand. Like I always had this desire to, when I would interact with people, and my friends used to tease me about this, right? And
Mhm.
they would tease me and say, you're too t intense, relax. Um, but I'm like, but there's more, right? I always wanted to, if I'm gonna spend time with someone, it was like, it's like when you bite into a ripe fruit and you taste all the flavors and the sweetness of it. And that's how I saw life and
Okay.
living. Like, right? If I'm gonna go for a walk around the lake with someone, I want it to be this thing where you're biting into this ripe fruit. I don't want it to be this meaningless
Mm.
encounter and small talk. And like I don't want to say I want it to matter, right?
Hmm.
Because that makes it significant and it sounds like a judgment. I don't know how else to be simple. I'm simple in a lot of different ways, but when it comes to like interacting with other beings,
Okay.
I don't know. I've always wanted it to really like, just for lack of better words, I wanted it to matter. I wanted it to be meaningful. I wanted to be able to somehow inspire that person and also be inspired by the
Mhm.
person. Um, Again, it wasn't a conscious thought, but that's how I saw living.
Hold on, I'm just gonna mute someone. Okay, there we go. Hope it succeed.
And I'll
And
give you a simple
yeah.
example. Like, one of the tools we learn in Access Consciousness is if you had 10 seconds to live the rest of your life, what do you choose? And when
Hmm.
I would ask myself that question on a regular basis, I would think about, okay, well, what if there was another person with me
Okay.
in those last 10 seconds? Can you put yourselves on mute, please?
Yay! Hold on. Let me find the one who is talking in the background. No, I think it's good. I think it's good. Okay, we're good to go.
Okay. Yeah,
Sorry.
so like when, and I don't even know why I'm going down this track here, but
Hmm.
so anyway, so when I would think about if I had 10 seconds to live the rest of my life, what would I choose? And I would picture certain scenario. They don't want to hear this. Somebody doesn't want to hear this conversation.
It's funny because I'm scrolling, everybody's muted, and still, then who is talking?
It's
People,
probably a being without a body.
can you elaborate on that?
Who knows? There's probably a lot of entities and spirits that don't want us to have this conversation, but there's also a lot that do. So
Yeah.
those are the ones I like to put my attention on. But acknowledging both possibilities is also important because, again, consciousness includes everything and judges
Hmm.
nothing. So, but anyway, so I would think about like if I had 10 seconds and there was another person with me, even if it was a stranger, you know what? I'm going to engage with that being for those last 10 seconds in my life. I'm going to make those 10 seconds matter.
Mm.
And that's how I've always approached life. And for a lot of people, it was very intense. Even my male friends and companions, it was too intense. Or sometimes they would say I was like gay or something, you
Hmm.
know? And when I would be in loving relationships, it was like when I interact with someone, it like again, I want it to be that like ripe fruit, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I want it to
Yeah.
matter, but that could be very intense and it could be very all-consuming for a lot of people. So, but for you to recognize that in what regular people would call it was a simple day, we went for a walk, we talked like two friends. Uh,
Okay, hold on. I think now this is the time for me to get strict a little bit.
it's slap time.
Yeah, it's left time. Exactly. Okay, there we go. So everybody who is unmuted, sorry guys, but we gonna the show must go on. Okay. Okay. Sorry, Anthony, go ahead.
No worries. Yeah, no. So I just, you know, so anyway, so when I choose to engage with people,
Hmm.
I just try to be all of me with no walls and barriers. And that's just something that I've always been. I've always sort of been as that open wound, so to speak. I've always been raw.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's just always been me. So here we are. Now we have these tools that I've learned over the last 12 and a half years. I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot of traumatic things throughout my life. I've had a lot of abuse, in my childhood and things of that nature. So I've had to sort of find my way alone, like outside of like family, right? Because the family that I had, they were what they were, but I had to find other people along the way and on my journey that matched the energy of what I knew was possible, but for whatever reason, I didn't know how to quite access it. And that's why I explored all these different things. And all of a sudden, this thing called Access Consciousness shows up in my life. And Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, he's like, talk about spending a day with somebody who acknowledges your whole being. He has that gift and that capacity. And I'm so grateful because he got me to at least start to acknowledge it myself a little bit more. I got a
Mm.
ways to go, And so I think that's also what you're acknowledging as well as like by being around me, it also gives you a sense of your being and who you are. And that's the space that I've always wanted to be for people,
Mm.
including myself, and there's so much more. So if like, and again, if you can perceive this in somebody, whatever you can perceive in other people, it's because it's inside of you.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
It's it's so good, and thank you that you mentioned so many things about also access consciousness and the tools, because this is also what I've been experiencing actually, because I think there are a lot of people, including ourselves too, who are who not even looking for something, but know that. um, what they kind of sense exists. And the tools, for example, that you mentioned, it's one of my favorite tools. So thank you very much for mentioning that one, sharing with us. And also the other ones that are, because we are energetic beings, all of this that we can sense in a way, even sensation is energy. So like everything is like universe is energy. And like what I discovered in Access is that these tools um, like are like contribute to your life in a way that you can start to expand energetically, which gives you that, like, as a result, one of the results, for example, in my life, it gave me the chance to connect with the world on a deeper level, connect with the universe on a deeper level. And this is some because I think we all go through, um, really weird uh, phases or periods of times when our lives feel like what is going on. Um, but this is one of my favorite sentence from Access as well, is that if I got nothing but the tools, like if I can choose between like $1 billion or tools, I would go for the tools because with the tools on the long term, I can create anything, like literally anything.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah,
I say a lot too. I say a lot. Like if someone gave me $1 billion to go back 15 years, I'd be
would you
like,
go back?
you can, no, hell no. I'm like, you can keep it.
Okay.
You know,
Wow.
you can keep it.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Hmm. What is your like I was wondering about what is your kind of inspiration to explore more because like I think in the last like years we have created a lot of stuffs, like a lot of things. We have created until now the life that we wanted to. That's in my case exactly what I wanted to. And I still have plans and I'm super curious and I think others too about what inspires me to, to be on this journey called consciousness. What drives you to explore even more beyond the material?
Well, I've always been driven by something beyond the material, right? It really didn't come until later in life where I'm like, I wouldn't mind having some more material.
Okay.
It's like I like having nice clothes, I
Okay.
like having a nice car to drive around in, I love being in nature and having a house, so blah blah, right? So I started getting over my point of view that to be a successful healer that I needed to do it without making money.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But I, Gabe, I just always had this sense that there was something beyond this reality and what was presented to us. And I was always hungry for that information.
Hmm.
I also came in with this thing that we call the fifth element. I've definitely come into this world with the savior complex.
Uh-huh.
Um, because and I can remember from the time I was a little kid, it was like my mom was sad. She was always doing trauma and drama, and all I ever wanted to do was like save her and hug her and take her pain away, and
Hmm.
you know what I mean? And it's like I kind of grew up that, like, I realized that I wasn't going to be a professional athlete. So what am I going to be when I grow up, right? And I remember it was like the only thing I ever thought of was like I all I know is I want to help people. So that was something that was in me. I came in
Okay.
that way. Okay. Then the question was through what vehicle, through what methods, right? And that's what sort of like created that search. I thought it was going to be through chiropractic.
Hmm.
Um, but that in and of itself, for me, no offense to all the chiropractors in the world, but where I wanted to contribute to people's lives, including my own, was way beyond the physical.
Mm.
And quite frankly, that a lot of the physical stuff is caused by the mental stuff.
Hmm.
And a lot of the
So true.
mental stuff, which creates the physical stuff, is caused by us not acknowledging our gifts,
Wow.
our capacities, our talents, waking up every day and not being excited about the work that we do or
Mm.
how we create our money. Um, Being in a shitty relationship, or not even acknowledging the fact that you can actually be in a loving creationship. And you don't have to be in this abusive relationship for 15, 20, 25 years, right? So I
Yeah.
realized a lot of people's mental then physical stuff was a result of them not realizing that there were different possibilities available to them.
Mm. Mm.
And but it had to start with me. It had to start with me first. And it was interesting because I tried so many things, even traditional therapy.
Okay.
I was like an open book. I was like a psychiatrist or psychologist's dream come true.
Mm.
I literally walked in there and I'm like, right? Here are all my skeletons. Please help me. And it was great to a point, but there was so much more that they weren't able to access. So I'm like, then I had a guru. Then I did the church stuff where I spoke in tongues and, would convulse on the floor and have these supernatural experiences, and yet my life would still be the same.
Mm.
So I don't know. And I just kept going. I'm like, there's got to be something out there that has a way to access um, those places where I'm blocked or stuck that no one has been able to get to so far.
Mm.
And I was the person who, like, literally dug up everything in the subconscious and laid it out there, but no change.
Mm.
And by the way, it's still ongoing. However, again, these tools have unlocked in such dynamic ways things that no other modality was able to get to. So for me, as that started to occur, I wanted to take it to the world. I'm
Mm.
like, this is what I want to do. This is the way. This is why I thought I was gonna be able to be as a chiropractor. But now, wow, boom, this gets to those places that none of those other things are able to get to, so that you can contribute to changing someone's life
Mm.
wherever their lives aren't working for them. And so it's really cool. And the work of these tools has also helped me in such a way where it's like I don't have to fix it either. It's really in the person's hands because I really thought it was my responsibility to fix it for people.
Mm.
And that's something that I'm actually still working on when it comes to my own children. But at least with people and clients, I kind of got over that point of view for the most part. So my inspiration comes from what it has done for me on a personal level, not outwardly, but inwardly. And and also whew, multiple, I can't explain it. It's like when these universes open up to you and you see
Yeah.
what's actually available, you're like, holy shit.
Hmm.
But it's not just for me, it's for all of us. And I'm like, that's it. That was the thing that I was always aware. And it's not a thing, but those are the energetic spaces of where, like, it like it's possible for all of us to access that and be that. And it is beyond the five senses. It is beyond the physical plane in which we live, but we can use it here to
Mm.
create a different reality if we choose. So again, my inspiration comes from what has shown up for me personally and then my desire to share it.
Mm. Wow.
It's like
Wow.
going to a party and it was like the best party you've ever had, and you just want all your friends to come too.
Hmm.
But a lot of times they don't want to come inside. You're like, oh, how come you don't want to come to the party? You're invited too, you know. No, no, that's okay. That's fine. I'll stand over here. You go ahead. Yeah, but I care about you. Don't you want to come? Nothing's gonna happen. Other than you'll just have more of you. Come on. No, 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 that's okay. And then I have to be an allowance of that,
Hmm.
even if it's my own children. That part's not easy, but that's another topic for another day.
Uh-huh. Hmm. Yeah, like um thank you for talking about this because this is really one of the, I would say, the advantage of consciousness is that you won't see the things as you used to because you realize that the whole way how we kind of experience the world and create the world, like our lives, our environment, our money situation, is based on the viewpoints we have. And this is something we can change. And one of the things I'm super grateful for Access Consciousness is this, that I was able and I am able to, change like basically everything that I'm willing to change. And
Right.
it was super interesting to first discover that really like at least 90% is something that I can't even put into words.
Yeah.
So good.
Yep.
Um, just give me a double check that we still have like roughly 10 minutes, right? You
Let me
you
see.
are
Yeah,
because
we're
now
good.
it okay, we're good. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So if you could mm, like regarding this topic, if you could like share like anything, like what I still have two questions besides that, but like if this would be a totally blank page, what would you put on it, or what would you share with us?
That's so funny. What would I
Yes.
share with you? The biggest thing that, I say this a lot, and what would I would like people to know is that your past doesn't have to dictate your future.
Oh wow. Okay.
And what if life every day when you wake up could be like a blank canvas?
Wow. Okay. Hmm.
Yeah. So if you had no reference points for your life,
Uh-huh.
what would you create today?
Ooh. Okay.
So, but a lot of times, we've decided we have these blocks, no matter what we do, no matter how much we try, we can't seem to sort of create something different, something, that's way different than maybe past stuff. Um, and that's part of the gift of what these tools are. They have a way of sort of dismantling the energetic imprint that past experiences have created in your universe. It
Hmm.
doesn't erase the actual memory, but it definitely does change the trajectory
Okay.
in which those particular events set in motion. And
Okay.
that's what's really cool about these tools is they have this amazing way, and I don't know how to describe it or explain it like on a quantum level, but they do. I just know that I've sensed it, that they have this way of undoing the past, which created a particular future possibility so
Hmm.
that you can then go over here and have that blank canvas and have something different available to you that you didn't know you had available to you before.
Wow. 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 Um, this is so awesome. Like because what you just said, what you just shared is exactly like what I was able to create because I thought that like now how I see the past is that it like we can imprison ourselves. I think this is the right way to say it. Like we can put ourselves into a prison by the way we approach our past. But as you mentioned, if we just um, really start to use the tools and go deeper, deeper, deeper in this, then we realize that the past doesn't what you just said. The past doesn't have to dictate our future. That was a huge, huge like a milestone in my life
Yeah.
when I realized this one. And since uh, as I mentioned, you are one of the greatest in access. I know this really speaking from my heart. I would really be curious also about like if anyone wants to go deeper also with you or want to know more about you how like I know there are like several options. You are also coming soon to Hungary and I'm can you just say a little bit about that that if like anyone is curious because I think there are people now listening to us watching us who are curious about what can be a great next step, for example, how they can like go deeper. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, I do have a website, dranthonymattis.com. You can check me out there. I also have this awesome monthly membership. It's called The Universe Has Your Back. And I titled that because Dr. Dane here, before I even took my first Access Consciousness class, he actually called me in my chiropractic office because I had sent him a long email of my whole
Okay.
life story. And he called me about a week later and I'm like, oh, hey, Dr. Dane? I'm like, this is the co-creator of
Mhm.
Access Consciousness. He calls me out of the blue. I had not been to one Access class yet. And I'm like, why are you calling me? And he's like, oh, I just want you to know the universe has your back. Now, I've heard that before a gazillion and one times, but when he said it, I don't know, something like shifted. And then after that, I took my first bars class. So I created this monthly membership. It's just $69 US dollars a month, where we get together twice a month, where if you're willing to ask your questions, it's basically a facilitation. It's like a group facilitation,
Wow.
but sometimes it's only one or two people asking questions, and I'm basically sharing the tools of access consciousness and how to use the tools and how to use them in a way that can change whatever it is that's not working for you in your life. So that would be another way if people wanted to go further, and they can cancel anytime. And then I'm coming to Budapest in mid-November. I'll be facilitating a Talk to the Entities class.
Hmm.
And I'll be coming to facilitate the opening of the symphony class and also overseeing the Symphony of Possibility class, which, yeah, so there's all these beautiful, wonderful, energetic resources. And with regards to the entity classes, it's not hocus pocus at all. It's actually a very, very pragmatic set of tools to actually learn how to have ease with things that are beyond our five senses, that
Wow.
sometimes our five senses get overwhelmed by. And I'm probably the last person on planet Earth that should be facilitating the Talk to the Entities class because I always thought that was meant for other people, not for me. I was always open-minded to that sort of thing, but I'm like, I don't have a capacity for that. But then I actually learned that we all do. We
Hmm.
all have the ability to perceive, know, be, and receive the unseen world. Whether you believe in spirits or not, there is a realm, right? Science has even proven it that there are other dimensions and realities. We are influenced by those mentally and physically. So, wouldn't it be in our best interest to learn how to clear those things, communicate with those things, receive, negotiate, cooperate? So, at the end of the day, we have more ease in our lives. And so that's what the entity tools to me are about. It's not about like open yourself up to the devil or some
Hmm.
demonic thing. No, it's so that you actually have more ease and not always feel like you're a victim by things you can't see. So there's that. And then the symphony of possibilities, that whole universe is just another realm of wonderful energetic resources to sort of blast through again those energetic limitations so that you could begin to access more of you. It's just a lot of fun. It's a playground for possibilities. That's how I see it. And it's creates a space for you to gain a greater sense of yourself in ways you could never experience anywhere else.
Hmm. And I must add that two things like SOP is like the Symphony of Possibilities is really, I think, one of like for me, it's one of the really the best experience I had last year in Berlin. So I'm super curious. I will be there. I'm super curious about that too. And another, I'm super grateful that you mentioned the Talk to the Entities class too, because I don't know if I've ever shared this with anyone, but some of the best business advices I've ever I got from entities. And it's, yeah,
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome. Be careful in what circles you say that to. They're gonna be like,
yeah,
no, don't listen to him, cancel him. No.
yeah. So it's a huge,
Yeah,
we didn't even like, this is a huge, huge topic. So
huge,
since
huge.
since we are gonna have another live too, I think we
Yeah.
should we should I'm super curious about you guys who are watching this conversation. Just let us know also in the chat, or you can write us an email. Also check out Anthony's website. Can you just Anthony say it once again? Dr.
Yeah, it's DR for
Okay.
doctor, DR, just
Okay.
and my name, anthonymattis.com.
Perfect.
So it's all in English though, but you could also find me on YouTube too. There's lots of videos there and a bunch of free stuff and a lot of tools and tips I share. Um, yeah, and if you are curious about the whole entities thing, but you have reservations,
Mhm.
maybe you can send Gabe
Mhm.
like questions, things that you would like us to address on the next
Sure.
live. Like what would hold you
Absolutely.
back from taking a class like that?
That would that thank you for saying this. Yeah. So every question is warmly welcome. Also because we love questions. So this the more you question, the more awareness you get.
That's right.
So this is why I encourage the people to always ask a question. And also this is a huge thank you for inspiring me. Now I think I'm gonna dive also a bit deeper into this topic because I wouldn't say it was in the shelf, but it was not on on the main focus in my life, even though you know I can be so grateful for entities, and they are so awesome. I think it's a great way to continue this conversation. But right before you go, because I know we have like roughly 1 minute left, if there would, for now, if you could share one message for the journey, what would that be
Hmm. Oh my
as a
goodness.
takeaway?
Yeah, as a takeaway. Well, again, I'll go back to again, if you had 10 seconds to live the rest of your life, what do you choose? Like really
Okay.
get present with that question.
Mm-hmm.
What
Mm,
if you only had 10 seconds to live? Like what would you like to choose? Are you going to be worried about your past? Are you going to be making all your decisions based on the past?
mm,
Are you going to
mm,
be worried and paranoid about the future
mm.
and what's to come? Or are you going to actually get present with the now?
Wow.
Because every choice you make in the now is what actually creates your future. But if you're making those choices in the now based on the past, your future is going to look very similar to the way it's been looking for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So I'm just bringing back that tool and that instrument because it allows people to get very present with what they would like to create moving forward.
Mm.
So,
Ooh. my body just changed after this kind of message. So wow. Anthony, we are super grateful. Thank you for coming to this
Thank
call
you.
and to this conversation. I'm really looking forward to continue this with you. And yeah,
Likewise.
and for those who have any question arised, you can reach us out. If you speak only Hungarian, that's also fine. You can reach, for example, Rika out or me too. I'm super glad to have your questions answered or give a question as an answer too. And Anthony, thank you once again
Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate it.
for
Thank you
I
for your
I
time.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Me
It
too.
was awesome. And what else is possible?
Truly.
I love this
Bye,
question.
everybody.
Bye.